Hi everyone, and welcome back to Talking with Tori. So for those of you who tuned in last Wednesday, we talked about gender discrimination in society and its effects on women. But today we're going to zoom in a little further on that lens and talk about gender discrimination in the workplace. Let's get started. So to start off, let's clarify what gender discrimination in the workplace really means. Well, this term can be classified as sexual or gender discrimination in the workplace that occurs whenever an individual is treated differently on account of their gender. This can affect factors such as hiring decisions, promotions, pay, distribution of benefits, job classification, and more. So let's talk about how gender discrimination in the workplace came into play and how we, as working women, have evolved since then. Well, it all dates back to the agricultural era, about 11,000 years ago, in which patriarchy was established. Patriarchy basically means that men were the head of the household. Well, once this concept was established, women had less prevalent roles in providing for their families economically, and were instead being increasingly domesticated, to the point in which their only roles in society were to care for their family and take care of their homes. Well, by the time the 20th century rolled around, domestication was so embedded into society that only 5% of married Canadian women had a job. This was because men who held a higher position of power in society wanted to keep things that way and continue to run society in a way that was specifically beneficial to men. Since then, married Canadian women are now approximately 78.1% employed, and that number is still increasing. Now, just because women have been substantially entering the workforce doesn't mean that men are at lesser power than they previously were. Instead, women are either given lower-level jobs in male-dominated workplaces, or women are working in fields that correspond with work that society deems to be more suitable for women, such as office work, teaching, nursing, caretaking of the elderly, working daycares, etc. A prime example of how women fulfill most jobs of lower status in large corporations can be seen through this statistic, which states that women hold 4.2% of CEO positions in America's 500 largest companies. This statistic clearly shows the lack of women in positions of higher power throughout America, leaving 95.8% of those CEO positions to be filled by men. Why is this, you ask? Well, let's take a little look at something called pregnancy discrimination. Pregnancy discrimination is a form of discrimination that can occur in the workplace if a woman is pregnant or has intentions of getting pregnant. This is one of many contributing factors that male workers use to their advantage by implying that if a woman holds a position of high importance in a company and she decides to have a child, then when on maternity leave, her absence may put the company in jeopardy or cause an inconvenience by having her position temporarily filled. So instead, males are promoted to higher positions to avoid the entire inconvenience. Now, this is just an example of one of the many excuses that large corporations use to pursue the advancement of men over women. How often does pregnancy discrimination occur? Well, in a recent study conducted, it was stated that in 2014, 1 in 2 mothers experienced pregnancy discrimination in the workplace at some point during pregnancy, parental leave, or on return to work, and 1 in 5 mothers indicated that they were made redundant, restructured, dismissed, or that their contract was not renewed because of their pregnancy. Now, moving on to another form of discrimination in the workplace, the wage gap. Now, I'm all sure you're familiar with this concept, but if not, let me refresh you on what this means. The wage gap is basically the average difference in pay between male and female workers. An example of how evident the wage gap is in 2017 can be seen in this statistic. Women working full-time in Canada still earned 74.2 cents for every dollar that full-time male workers made. This is an overwhelming 25.8% difference. Now, this wage gap is a result of many factors, such as repeated sexual harassment causing women to leave the workplace, occupational segregation deeming some occupations as women's work, which are typically lower-paying occupations, returning from maternity leave and being viewed as unreliable and undervalued, the race or ethnicity of women, and the assumption that women have a financially stable partner who is able to support them. The fact of the matter is that not all women have spouses. So imagine a single mother trying to support her family and not being able to attain the same pay as a male. Or imagine being sexually harassed by a male employee, and yet the male employee is favored and you're faced with the decision of leaving your workplace or sticking it out. Neither of these instances should be tolerated in the workplace, and neither should the degradation of women. So, what can we do to close the wage gap, end the stigma against pregnant employees, and put a stop to gender discrimination in the workplace? Well, some things that we can do going forward include that women should be more open to negotiating for what they deserve in the workplace. We should be bringing awareness to the issue, drawing attention to the effects of maternal and paternal leave, lowering the cost of childcare, and most importantly, eliminating the concept of patriarchy. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you all take away something from today's video and feel the need to end gender discrimination in the workplace. Be sure to tune in next week for Talking with Tori.